Okay, you can kind of see we're at a point here in which you can see I've added on the outside veneering. I've done a little erasing on some of the surfaces because I needed to be able to just not see stuff that was written anymore. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And you can see I've got the case together. I've started doing a little sanding, and in past videos I was talking about a couple of areas that I needed to, my cuts were either off or they were off somewhere. They had to be off somewhere. And this is probably about, make that knot. That's probably about 3.5, 4 millimeters of being incorrect that got fixed. You can see here, I've pinned everything in place and wood glued. So every place where you see the pins and the holes, and you can see, I really wanted you to see that I do really mess up sometimes. I don't know what I was thinking with these. I just put them in the wrong place. But again, knowing that I'm going to veneer all of this, and I'm going to plug these holes with some glue to make sure that they don't like turn into weird little dimples or something. And then you can see here on the back, I didn't put one up here because there's a 45-degree angle and I didn't want to split anything weird. So you can see about how many I added. And sometimes, you know, they go in a little deeper. I did end up having to use, because I was going through a much thicker amount of cardboard, I ended up using a regular hammer for these. And I think sometimes you can kind of tell, maybe that's part of it, that I like dinged it a little bit too hard. I was trying so hard to be careful. And over here you can see I've done more sanding. I still need to do a bit more so it's completely flat. There's some areas along here, I just basically take my finger and run it along here, and if I feel like there's a ridge on either side, I know I need to do some sanding. Like right here, I thought I was going to need to do some sanding, but everything kind of relaxed a little bit when it dried, because this is all glued together with wood glue. This part down here, you can really see where I've done a lot more sanding. And when I say sanding, I've just got a piece of, I think this is 320 sandpaper, and that's more than enough for something like carton board and cardboard. So you can see I've got the shelves glued in. There were also, I did some shimming here because this was about 1 millimeter off, and I really wanted that to be flush. This needs to be sanded a little bit more. You can kind of hear there's a little bit there. I got these as flush as I could get them. They still need to be sanded a little bit, because I'm like, as I'm running my fingers along here, I'm feeling some things that I don't like that just need to be straightened up a little bit. The one thing that is a little wrong, as you can kind of see, that shelf is not, can you see where it's like rising a little bit in the back? I don't think it's going to cause a whole lot of problems. I know how I'm going to affix the chair that's going in here, and the seated doll that's going to be going here. I went ahead and veneered this top and bottom piece. These, I just veneered the bottom piece. And then on the bottom, you'll see, like, this is the first part I veneered, and you can see I made another big, huge mistake. I measured it out. It's like, okay, I know where it is, and for some reason, I just went ahead and put all the holes in the wrong place. So yeah, I'm gonna fill those in too. I'm probably gonna use spackle, and you can see here where I've got some spackling to do as well, just to make sure everything lays nice and flat. That's what's going on today. I've had some breakthroughs with the kinds of hinges that I'm going to need to make. I keep talking about hinges. Sequencing and hinges. Woo, sequencing and hinges. But that's kind of where I am right now. I did have to trim the doors. The right door was not meeting. It was a little bit too big, and it was a super easy fix, which I think I'm going to have to do again. It depends on how much the seams come in. I'm going to be using an offset seam design, or an offset hinge design. So hopefully I'll have something a little bit more solid coming up soon, because I need to make a prototype. And I'm not going to make the prototype until I have this completely papered and ready to go, and these papered, because I need to know what the thicknesses are before I start using the metal. Does that make sense? And I've still got about a probably more like 5 millimeters here, but I think I may have to mess around with this top part here to make sure they all fit correctly, if that makes sense, because the type of offset hinge, it's going to open and then open this way. So I want to make sure it still does that without getting like all bunged up with paper and other things that are going on in there. There's going to be part of the reason why I'm going to be wrapping cardboard, the painted paper on cardboard, is that's going to it's going to act as a stopper right here, so these won't go in like that, which it would be like, yeah, it wouldn't be good. So I'm going to finish up my sanding and get the paper on here. And I've been going back and forth around the way I want to do the paper. And I finally realized now that it's here physically in space and time. I was going to do something where I just took a sheet of paper and cut it so it was about this far and then wrap. It's not going to work. It's too big, and I don't have enough control for what I want to do, because I basically want to wrap from here down and around with long pieces. So I'm gonna do it a little differently, and I'll show you that in the next video. So I'll see you next time.